Here we go. Hello, it's Trucker Joe, and last episode we had expanded the Starhold station with extra crew capacity and established a short-term plan for expanding it. In addition, we also picked up a couple of missions. I believe it was... Oh, that one's easy. But this one, we picked this up and we could send the Fuelie there. However, that's not what I'm here to demonstrate. What I'm here to demonstrate is actually the Duna Flyer, which... Where is it? I'm going to grab the actual version of this. As you can see, I have been designing something in the background, and this is actually an advanced version of it. And I'm just going to point out what it is, what its features are, and also point out the things that I kind of want to add. For example, I think it would be important for me to add air brakes to the tail fins because I'm noticing something a bit unfortunate where it doesn't maintain stability very well. So where would that be? So I could, for example, just have a bunch of air brakes, but that's not really a good solution, and maybe instead I'm just going to have parachutes further back. I'm not sure yet. I will figure something out, but let's just launch this. It's too large for runway. So this runway should be upgraded enough to support it now. Yep, that's fine. Launch. So, yeah, so if I press here, as you can see, it does expand. I have landing gear on the nose and to the sides. It actually has a very wide base, and that's very useful. Also has a pair of nuclear engines, which... Oh, that's a mistake. But yeah, anyway, if I press my brakes, I happen to have a system in place that prevents these air brakes from touching the ground in the form of this landing gear, and it does, in fact, move in sync. So that's good. And yeah, so when I have to expand the air brakes, my landing gear comes out to prevent it from taking an impact damage. And this is fine when it's landed. Because of the positioning of this, my center of mass is actually balanced on it. But when I want to take off, I don't want that to be there, so that we're actually angled up slightly. And that's going to allow us to get extra lift and take off on Duna. And I have actually gone and done a proper test. I sent this thing all the way there. It was a bit finicky because there were some quirks with how it worked. And I don't have SAS on. Always turn on SAS for it to work. As you can see, those wheels, they all steer, so I have good maneuverability. I can't, unfortunately, take off here. I wish I could, because this thing actually flies at a pretty low rate, but in Kerbin's gravity it's a bit too much. So yeah, also doing flight tests with this is very tricky because they can only really be conducted in upper atmosphere, and even then it's being pulled very hard by gravity. But this thing can take off at like speeds close to 15 meters a second. So yeah, so it has more than enough lift, and if I check, I seriously doubt this thing's going to take off. But I am going to have to stop this anyway, in a moment. Yeah, it's not going to take off. We're going to stop before we go careening off. And since we didn't really do anything, we're just going to revert. Because there's no point in wasting money when it's on the landing pad taken for a test flight. So now I did mention that I had done a test flight, so that means I have already done all the building in the background. And it's actually a good thing I did. I'm only going to make a few tweaks. But yeah, I've kind of been thinking about how like the American space program and the Soviet space program contrasted each other, but were both just insane with how they did things. For example, the Soviet Union thought more boosters was the definitive way to build rockets. Meanwhile, Americans thought that this was acceptable. And I just find this super amusing. Yes, just strap a rocket to it and hope. But in all seriousness, I'm actually going to do this. This is going to throw off the balance a little. But yeah, I'm forever going to find it amusing that Americans, like the American space program, thought strapping their plane to the side of a rocket was the best way to launch it. Although realistically, this is far better than any of the alternatives. So yeah, I did add more fuel, so that's probably going to throw off the center of lift and thrust. There's also this issue. If I take this off, that's going to kind of showcase. It's still a little off, but I'm fine with that, I think. But essentially, I use vector engines here because they give me the maximum amount of gimbaling, which actually it has to use. I added more fuel because what would happen is, at full pelt, these 4 vector engines, while they provide an excellent amount of thrust and can get me out of the atmosphere very easily, they run out faster than these boosters, so I had to add extra. And yeah, ultimately this is all just a booster stage, and then this plane is supposed to fly all the way to Duna. Okay, throttle up. I put the SAS on. Taking a look at this. That should be everything. Let's put this up so that I can see. Are we ready? Looks like we're ready. Okay, let's go. So, I have no choice but to hold this. I have to wait. So what it's going to do is it's going to bring its, like, you can see that my center of thrust is actually a bit below the position I'm aiming at, and you can kind of tell the direction that I'm being thrusted in. And you can also see that there's a slight bit of pitching going on. And yeah, okay, so I am going to run out of solid fuel first, so that's important. Hopefully this doesn't cause an accident, because if it does, it'll be super expensive and I'll have to do another launch. But hopefully by doing this, I can reduce the amount of impact that it has. I have to do something like this. Go prograde, please. There we go. That wasn't exactly how I planned it, but that's fine. Also, the rocket was super unstable there. But that's fine. We'll just detach now and ensure that this thing stays prograde. We're also nudging out of the way. That's great. Somehow still mostly on course, so I'm okay with this. I'm just going to angle myself so that it makes sense. Where's the sun? Directly above? Then I'm going to stay here. And there we go. Time to start burning. Yeah, that thing's safely clear of us. That booster's going on a pretty long trajectory back down. It will hopefully splash down in the ocean. This looks like it'll miss that body of land. That's fine. Now we just have this going off. Let's remember that we need to have this extended. Also, if you look at this, the 2 heating panels, because we had to go through the atmosphere, these 2 heating panels are lit up. And yeah, during long burns, you're actually going to notice these engines, like you'll notice these heating up and it'll get worse and worse. But yeah, as you can see, these are 98.78, and that's because I've been continuously running my nuclear engines, and I think time acceleration also affects them a little. But these... oh, it shifted. It shifted. So I have to stop. I'm glad I caught that. I didn't catch it on time. I'm actually going to adjust here because it's a huge waste of fuel if I don't adjust right now. So we're going to go back prograde, and I'm going to do that. It would be a massive waste of fuel if I did it any other way. Anyway, let's lock here because I think otherwise I might lose electricity and then be forced to miss a maneuver node. Now of course, I'm going to have to find a place that I don't actually have to worry about finding a place along the equator as much because I can probably adapt this and have cargo fuel planes to go between different points, but our initial outpost has to be somewhere along the equator, I think. I'm okay with having a somewhat eccentric orbit. This seems fine. This is actually better than the one I had during my test flight. There we go. I am ready. So, time to start my burn. So, as you can see here, it's actually very, this is actually a lot less energy than I thought. So only 1,000 meters a second. And looking at this, weirdly, I'm actually gaining efficiency. And it's usually around this point where the tanks are roughly half full that I actually gain delta V. So it's pretty great. Also, I should close this. How far did I miss this by? So somehow I'm missing it. I must have gone beyond it somehow? Or maybe it was the angle or timing errors? I'm not sure. I'm keeping a very close eye on this. But I completely missed it somehow. It must have been very sensitive because, yeah, I overshot. That's fine. That's fine. There we go. Now I can look at this and if I do this, I can actually get a much more preferable angle from this. Nope, it actually has to be on that side. So it has to be retrograde. Also, yeah, I'm still aware of this satellite. I'm going to be putting an upgraded booster, signal booster satellite. But yeah, anyway, this seems to be the best I can do. That's fine. So I'm going to do my trick again, where I try to expose as little of my battery as possible, so that by the time I get there, it's fine. In fact, I'm actually just going to point directly radial in. What will happen is I'll lose power for a moment, but I'm also going to quick save. What's going to happen is I am getting power. So didn't fully lose power. And this is still roughly a year, so I gotta watch this. So roughly 4 minutes. That'll give me enough time to stall my momentum. I'm going to come out of this like something. I should have enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check. I'm likely going to land on Duna and then take one of these satellites and try to probably one of the communication satellites. And I'll try to pin a point near my landing spot, my landing site, and that's going to be where I'm going to go. In fact, what's probably going to happen is I'm going to try to land on the light side. Okay, before I go at this, it would be more efficient, I think, for me to go and dip the atmosphere, like dip lower here. I'm not sure. I'm not going to worry about that just yet. Here we go. And that's very good. What I can do is I can reduce it to just above a certain amount. So I can now... Wait, so this is 9 days, right? So I think if I just warp here... Yeah, it's actually going to take me quite some time to get back. I'm used to... And of course, I'm doing the opposite orbit as well. Let's see. So yeah, that's... What? That did not show up. Okay, but this is working out for the best, because I can use this. 5, 6... I'm going to go for about 25 meters. So I accidentally got to take advantage of the Oberth effect. Also, I have a little bit less fuel than I was hoping because of the mistakes I made. Hopefully that's not going to be too much. But yeah, anyway, let's just do this. So we'll send these scans because it makes sense. So we entered into the sphere of influence of Ike, which has altered our orbit dramatically and has given us a different entry than we expected. I'm actually okay with this because it's actually kind of interesting with the way it is actually. And yes, I said actually 3 times in a sentence. Isn't that actually interesting? So, I'm going to perform the same experiments. I'm going to transmit the gravity scan, and we'll just reset everything else. So now it's just time to quick save one last time. We're going to warp here. And hopefully it'll stop me before it gets bad. And here's the green. Of course the green's disappearing. Okay, we're in the atmosphere, engage air brakes. We're going to get into pretty thick atmosphere. We have a lot of momentum. As you can see, we're coming in this into this with pretty close to orbital momentum. And we're also going to be landing pretty much into the night side. If I choose to, I could actually land this maybe in this patch instead. I would have the fuel, but I'm only interested in landing this because I know it works. Before we lose any parts, my signal is low, but that's because of where it is. I'm going to retract this antenna. So now I'm connected to the relays with maximum connection. There we go. That's probably degraded our signal. 47. Actually, if I extended this, what is it now? 48. That's why it's doing a direct connection. Interesting. This is good. I'm quite happy. And I should have a few options for thumbnails. Let's see. How are we going to do this? Let's wait for the apoapsis to catch up to me. I'm going to change this so that we're no longer facing prograde. And I'll wait for my apoapsis so I don't get thrown under the bus. Actually, I know I'm quick saving here. I think I could shove my apoapsis down. Or, you know, do that. Tumbling is okay too. I'm okay with this, because it's going to slow us down quite a bit. Okay. Turn off our air brakes because it does make us slightly more unstable. I'm okay with this because it's allowing us to slow down faster. I'm going to want to reverse. Okay, face prograde, please. There we go. Time to perform a crazy maneuver. That's my altitude like that. So I'm going to start diving. There we go. Come on. Yes. So that's not good. This isn't actually helping me very much. I'm going to need horizontal momentum very soon. I might actually need landing lights. Anyway, I did land and get to one of the good areas. Okay, time to start increasing momentum, because I'm going to need it. There we go. Turn the brakes off. We can already see. Don't need stability assist anymore. So we just have to be incredibly gentle so that we don't actually lose anything. Don't want to lose control. Toggle gear. Wait for the brakes, because we don't need the brakes just yet. And I want to get it so that I'm close. But yeah, we're gliding pretty easily. And this is actually a pretty reasonably good plot of land. I'd be okay with touching down here. So, I can see detail on the ground. Turn the lights on so that we can see ahead of us a bit. And yeah, there we go. We're definitely going to land here. Time to toggle our brakes. Flare up. And of course we're going to miss our initial landing spot. I have to keep my altitude descending, but only slightly. Here we go. First touch, of course, has kind of failed. Rotate just a bit, flare up extra because of the velocity. There we go. Smooth landing. Now we just wait for these. Now if we want, we can actually turn around and try to land somewhere else. It's really up to us. Now that I have my waypoint set, I should be able to navigate to it. But I have to be super careful because this thing is very twitchy when it's low on fuel. And that can be a problem. We're going to use the momentum of this slope in order to help us get in the air. And then we'll line up carefully and perform a boost in order to get high in the atmosphere. Higher in the atmosphere the better, because we'll be able to more easily deal with our problems. Now, we want to make sure this is actually set. There we go. It's a bit tricky to take off with, but we should be able to handle it just fine. There we go. Don't go too far from the prograde marker. And now we can lower our gear, or raise it, actually. There we go. Careful about going too high. Okay, pitch is stable. Pitch is stable. Good to know. So, we should be performing essentially a lift-assisted suborbital hop. And that's what I'm doing right now. Any adjustment I make causes us to pitch up. So I have to be super wary of that. There we go. And this is going to be the new location for our base, I think. It's going to be close to the center. In fact, I'm probably going to try to brake around here. But I want to keep about... We had 1,000 meters a second. This is 560. Let's go prograde. Yeah, we're not going to be able to fly any long distances. But anyway, that's going to be a quick little suborbital hop. We'll get fairly high in the atmosphere. This is so nerve-wracking. Look at that. It's also really pretty. It appears that we are actually managing to glide there. Although I'm so slightly off, so I'm going to have to adjust in order to get it more on target. There we go. Okay, time to extend gear and everything. Right, we managed to get right there. Okay, time for a landing sequence. So yeah, you just have to be really delicate with this thing, and it works really well. I will say, the atmosphere actually gets really thick here as well. So that's actually a plus. Oh, we can see the surface. I can already see some places that are actually fairly flat that we can use. But yeah, although it's also a little bit in an alcove, so we gotta be careful with where we choose. But if we go backwards towards the waypoint, we should be able to easily land there. Also, come on. Landing. Okay, let's stay prograde now. That's not... Yep, that's fine. That's fine. We can have it twist. We're going to roll down the hill, I think. And probably use a small amount of fuel. We're going to choose out a landing spot. And this is going to become a beacon for that landing spot. We're going to hop up a little, I think. Or, yeah, this is a valley. Also, I could have... Why didn't I turn my brakes off? I could have saved fuel there. Honestly, this little plateau is perfect. It have a base here. It's pretty level. What do you think? I think a base here would be okay. So I think this is where I'm going to set up the base. So we're going to delete this waypoint. And this will be the location of our future base. I left us with a very tiny amount of fuel, so I'm probably going to have to get a refueling station set up, but it appears that we have a proper jet. Now, of course, we can take some scans and transmit them. I am going to actually save the science runs for when I can send Valentina to do the science. Actually, it would be better if I had a actual scientist pilot this, thinking about it. Yeah, Valentina will probably perform... Yeah, here's what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to send up a fuel hauler that's a space plane, and Valentina will pilot that. And it'll just be something that can go between outposts and consolidate fuel. So that's all I have for this video. In the next episode, I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing. See you next time.